Hey guys, welcome back to another 3D printing video, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the ELEGOO Mars 3D printer. So this is a resin printer that's actually quite popular right now, and it seems to offer a lot of value for its capabilities. So in this video we're going to unbox it, set it up, and do our first print. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so this is the box that the printer comes in. It's a decent sized box, but it's not huge, so shipping should not be an issue. And I like the retail box because it's quite nice and clean. It shows you the printer here, the Mars 3D. So I've only done one resin printer in the past, so I'm still a little new to this thing, but I was quite impressed before of how detailed these printers can print. And what I know is that this printer can go even higher in resolution, so the print should be even better than what I've experienced before. So alright, so let's get this box opened. So just as expected, very nicely packed, and looks like we just need to flip this thing around and it'll come right out. Alright, so it looks like it is encased in foam, and it's the soft foam. And man, check out this red, it's very bright. So it looks like we have a box back here, probably our accessories. It does say Toolkit and US. Alright, let's pull the printer out. And we also have a manual. Looks like a really nice one. Kind of shows us and tells us what everything does. Very cool. Alright, so this is the printer, and it's looking very, very nice and interesting. So it does have a little bit of tallness to it. Let's go ahead and unwrap it here. It's shrink wrapped. So the red piece here is a cover, and it pops right up. And on top of it, we can see it says QC passed, so I guess quality control passed. So they test them before they send them out. All right, so there's more plastic under here. And then we got more foam all around here. All right, so it looks like there's a piece inside of here. And this is a quite nice quality looking piece, guys. So this is the bed area here, and that's where the print will stick to. And this is all metal. Feels really, really heavy duty and high quality. So this piece here goes on the printer somewhere, which we'll install in a second here. So it looks like we have another foam pad in there, and that looks like it's everything for the packaging. Under here we can see the bath where the resin goes in, and then the lighting projection comes through there and cures the resin as it goes up. So this is definitely a interesting design. Fortunately, this style of printers have made it to the consumer market where they're more budget friendly, where everybody can enjoy this type of printers. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the LCD protection film here. Alright, so before we continue with the printer, let's go ahead and see what's inside this toolkit here. Alright, so look how nicely that's laid out, guys. Very professional. So far I like the experience of the unboxing. Everything is pretty straightforward. So we do have the power supply, and it's got plastic protection over that too. So we can see it's a 12 volt 5 amp DC power supply. So and then we also have the wall plug, and we have the US version that'll plug into the power adapter here. And it looks like we have about 6 feet of reach. Well, let's see what else we get in here. So we also get a little plastic spatula, I guess to scrape off the prints. An Allen wrench hex screwdriver here. Some kind of 3D printed, I guess, tool maybe for something. And also we get cutters, which is kind of interesting that we even need cutters. And they're also branded ones. Very nice. So here we have a baggie with some Allen wrenches and some hardware, looks like some bolts and set screws. So we also get some gloves, looks like, a little measuring cup. And in the gloves there's a USB thumb drive, and they did give you quite a few gloves also. Look at that. So the thumb drive doesn't say how large it is, but it's a pretty nice one that closes up like that and you can hang it on your keychain. So this Toolkit box just keeps on having stuff. So we have filters, about 10 of them here. We're pouring the resin in. And last but not least, we get 3 breathing masks. I guess if you wanted to use them over your mouth when you're, you know, around the resin and stuff. So very cool. So quite an interesting toolkit indeed. All right, for the first thing, let's go ahead and install the print head here onto the, looks like the Z axis here that goes up and down. And I think that is the only moving part of this printer. But before we do that, let's look underneath the printer. So it looks like we have some feet here, and they are adjustable if you need them adjusted. There is a large fan here, and it looks like a heatsink behind that, quite large one. And the sides don't really have too much. And then on the back we have the model number, the machine size, and the weight of 5 kilograms. So below that we have the power switch on and off. That's where we're going to put our thumb drive to, you know, read files. And this is our power socket there. Alright, so let's go ahead and connect the power to it. Hit the power button in the back, and there we go. We can see the logo start up. So the fan kicked in, and as you can see, guys, we have quite a large and nice touchscreen display here. So what we need to do right now is we need to raise this arm up here so we can install the print surface bracket here. And so it looks like we need to go to tools and then manual, and then we can go up and down from here. And so this is the choices you have of how much you want to go up and down. So if we go 10 millimeters, this thing should move 10 millimeters. So let's go ahead and try that. And there it goes, it's moving up 10 millimeters. So we're going to need a little more than that. You hit it twice, it goes up another 20. Maybe click it 3 times. Alright, and so the way to put the build plate on is quite simple. You just slide it into this groove here, just like that, and it goes in there perfect. And then we're just going to tighten this up, and that's it. We are now tight in there. Alright, so let's quickly go over our controls here. So let me just go back. So we have tools, system, and print. So print is what you're going to be printing when you put your USB stick in. So in tools we have the manual up and down that we just did. Then here it looks like exposure. Not too familiar with the setting, but we'll figure it out. So here we have zeroing out the trigger position. So I'm not sure what that is all about. Well, it looks like it's too late. I have to confirm it. And then we have a stop and a back. So if we go back, we have the systems. So there's information, and that is about the printer. Here we have some kind of speaker. I guess this is sound if you want to turn it on and off. Touch calibration, probably don't need to go there. Service, I guess if you have any questions, they have all their emails and website on here. And then you can change our languages here, which is, I guess, goes from, I'm guessing that's Chinese to English. Alright, so let's go back. So that's pretty much all of our controls here, guys. Very simple and very straightforward. Alright, so for the next part, I'm going to run the Z-axis up a little bit more. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to take this tub off. We can take a closer look at it. So there's 2 knobs here that should just unscrew. So they're just clamping the tub down, and then just slides right out. So you can see the 2 arms, and then these clamp. And there's 2 little indentions in the tub, and that's how it holds it down. But this thing is quite heavy, guys. It's actually completely solid metal, so it looks like a pretty chunky piece of like aluminum, I guess. And we can see the film here lets the light through so the printer can print. And so this is where your resin will pour in. It'll be like a little tub of resin. Alright, so for the next part, I want to see what this exposure does. And I think what it does is it turns on the LEDs inside that, you know, do the curing. So let's go ahead and click next here. Okay, so it's projecting this image, and you guys can see it right there. There's the image. So this is kind of just to verify that it works, and it's, I guess, in good health. And you can see there's a bunch of LEDs on the bottom there, and I guess that's ultraviolet light that cures the resin. Also guys, I've noticed, I don't know if you can see, right there, we can see that there is a switch or a sensor. I guess it's an optical switch, and that switch is the thing that controls the Z-axis height. And there's a little piece of metal right here that goes into that switch that stops it. So it's not a mechanical switch, but more of an electronic switch. All right, so now we can just go back and everything turns off here on the top. So now we can move on to the bed leveling part, which we have to set this plate here to be perfectly flat with the bottom of the printer here. So what we're going to do is take a piece of paper and we're going to set it right over the LCD screen here. And so we're going to go to Tools, Manual, and then we're going to hit this button, and that's the bed leveling button. So this thing's going to go all the way down to the bottom. Alright, so now that it's laying on the bottom, we can see how this paper is reacting. So it definitely feels like we're pretty close for sure, but looks like have kind of a big gap here on the back side, and on the front side it's too tight. So what we need to do is grab the Allen wrench, the provided one, and loosen 2 set screws right here. One in the front, and then there's one on the side here. And you probably want to make sure that your paper is still under there. So I had to bring it up just a bit. Well, let's go ahead and lower this thing back to where it's supposed to be. Alright, so with the set screws loose and the paper under it, this thing should be sitting flat where it needs to be. But I think it's a good idea to go ahead and kind of, push on it just a little bit so it's nice and flat, and then tighten up these set screws here. That way, it doesn't try to move or go up. So we're going to home this thing again and see where it's at. So, and that appears to be pretty tight. Looks like all the corners fit in really nice and snuggy. So to me, it looks very flat and exactly where it needs to be. So from my experience before, it seems like it's better to be closer than farther away. And my paper here is, thicker kind, so I'm trying to make it as close as possible. Yeah, so once you get that right, then we can go ahead and move this thing up. And so now we can put our bed back in, or should I say our tub. And we'll go ahead and tighten that up. And I'm just going to go ahead and, just for the sake of, checking it, I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way down and make sure everything's fine. Alright, so everything looks good. It went all the way down where it needs to be, and that should be perfect. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got the printer all set up and ready to go, and that was quite a easy process. So with these printers, there's not much involved when it comes to setting up and getting ready for printing. So that part is really nice. Now with that said, there's quite a bit more cleaning process when you're done printing, but that's not too bad either, except for having smells and things. So when you buy the Mars printer, you don't get any resin with it, so don't forget to get some resin if you're going to get this printer, and you do have to buy that separately. I went ahead and got some from ELEGOO. It's the 500 grams, and I actually chose the gray color. I figured on gray we could probably tell a lot better the print quality. So this is the box that the resin came in, and this was, I think, around $22 or so on Amazon. But I will have links in the description for the resin also, and obviously the printer. So let's open this resin box up. So this is how it comes shipped, very nicely bubble protected. And 500 grams is actually a decent amount of resin. As you can see here, it's quite a large bottle. So here we have the grams, standard, and the branding. Photopolymer resin. Alright, so before we use this, we need to shake it up really good. But don't shake it crazy because you're going to put air bubbles in it. Just, a good old shake. And now it's ready for use. Alright, so I switched cameras. We're going to go ahead now and start our first print. So what we need to do is first I want to check, make sure there's something for us to print on this USB stick here. So let's go to the back of the printer and plug this in. And we can see there's a little light there that actually glows. Alright, so we're going to click on print, and here we can see there's some files on there. So we're going to scroll down. Okay, so there is a model for printing folder. Okay, so there it is. So it looks like the file names are, different. It says .cbddlp. So if we click that, we can see it gives us a preview of what we're about to print. So I'm guessing if we push this play button or go button here, we will start printing. But before we do that, I want to raise my bed just a little bit. 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters should be good. Let's go ahead and pour some of this resin in. So what they recommend is pouring in about 1/3 of the tub. So if you're going to get this stuff on your hands and stuff, then you definitely need to wear gloves. But just pouring it in should be pretty safe, as long as you don't touch the resin. So, and I can already tell there's a smell going from it, so you definitely want to have a ventilated area. Alright, so we're just going to simply pour the resin into the tub here. And we can see we have a gray resin. So that looks to be about a third right there. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and print the file and see what happens. So it is moving down. Okay, so it looks like it started the print. There's some bubbles in here. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. I guess there's some trapped air underneath. So it looks like it's showing us what it's going to print, which is that's the layer that it's on right now. And we have quite a bit of information down here. So we have the model file name, I guess, and then the amount of time it's going to take, which is 3 hours and 34 minutes. How much time passed and what layer we're on. There's actually 1,000 layers. We're on the first layer right now, and that is the first layer right there. So it looks like we're started and good to go. Alright, so it looks like it's going to the second layer maybe. Yes, it is. So it's going to layer number 2 out of 1,000. And there is a progress bar right there. You guys can see that it's only 1% done. Alright, so I'm not sure exactly how much we'll be able to see with it printing, but I'm going to set up a GoPro and hopefully we can catch some kind of time lapse from it. And yeah, not to forget the most important part, or one of the most important parts, is to put the cover on. The reason you want to put the cover on is because you don't want this resin here to cure from ambient light, whatever. This is why the cover is that color, I guess. It rejects UV light, and so we're just going to simply put it over the top just like that, and now it's protected. I'm not sure what kind of time lapse I'm going to get through that red, but we'll see what we can do. But yeah guys, this is a really interesting looking printer, and definitely the Mars, I guess, comes from the red top here that kind of looks like Mars. Definitely quite a unique looking printer. Alright, so I managed to set up a GoPro. Hopefully we can get a good time lapse out of that. And this thing is really sped up, and you can see we're on layer 40 and it's going pretty quick. So it looks like we also have a little option button here. We can see that those are all the parameters, I guess, exposures and whatnot else. So it looks like if you click on it, you can actually change the parameters right there live. So I'm not too familiar of how to adjust that, so I'm not going to mess with it and leave it the way it is. But yeah, so it looks like we're 4% done, and it's going quite quick now. And we can see it going up and down every layer there. So alright, so I'm just going to leave it alone, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so our prints are done, and we can see them hanging there behind the red cap. And they're looking really nice. So it looks like it took 2 hours and 48 minutes, it says there. So let's push confirm, and it just goes back to the main menu. So let's take this cover off. And check that out. That looks phenomenal. And here guys, you can see how well it's stuck to the plate. And look at that detail. That's pretty amazing. There's actually some kind of threaded piece inside of it that actually looks pretty phenomenal. It's very tiny. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So it looks like we have still plenty of resin left. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the machine. We can go ahead and try to get that plate off and get the models off of the plate. And so here I got a little plastic pan thing and also some 91% alcohol, which we're going to clean up the models with. And so the reason you want to do that is you want to rinse off all the extra resin that's just kind of sitting on it. So taking it off should be as simple as loosening this knob here, and then it should just slide out, and there it goes. Very simple. Okay, I see what's inside. There's a little stairway inside. Very cool. This is a pretty detailed model. See the stairway on kind of peeking out there. Alright, so I got the little bathtub here. I'm going to spray some of this alcohol right on the models to just kind of clean up the whole model here roughly. Alright, should be pretty good. So I'm wondering how hard it's going to be pulling them off the plate. So I guess this is the part where I need to put on my gloves, or at least one glove. I just want to see if I can... Okay, so I just tugged on it just a bit and it came right off. Okie dokie, so I'm just going to set it down and try to do the other one the same way. Just kind of tug on it just a little bit. Honestly, it didn't take much pressure at all. It just pops right off, look at that. So it seems to stick on good, but not too hard where it doesn't pop off. Wow, that's awesome. So I'm going to put this plate back on the machine. Alright, so I'm just going to rinse it down real good here. And it should be pretty good. We washed them already a bit, so they're pretty clean, looks like. And then I got a little napkin and just put it on the napkin. And there we go. Beautiful. So I'm going to wipe these down really good, and then we'll take a closer look at these things. Alright, so I took them outside to dry in the sun, and I think they need the sun in order for the resin to cure nicely. So hopefully you guys can see the quality on this print is just phenomenal. I mean, I'm pretty blown away by it, to be honest. I'm mostly used to printing with filament, and there's no way in the world that you can get it this good. So there's some kind of wording there on top of the tower. It says something there. And hopefully you can see those stairs down there. That's just amazing. Just an excellent detailed print, guys. Excellent. And even our bottoms are looking really good. Basically perfect. So pretty impressive. Now I think I do have a little bit of an elephant foot right here. So squish a little bit. But maybe that's a good thing because, you know, the print needs to stick really good. But honestly, that's so minor. So you can see, guys, this is a pretty small print and my finger is quite large here. And to be this detailed is, I don't know, quite phenomenal. It's amazing what a resin printer can do these days, and especially this one. This one is excellent. So I'm very happy with this first print, and it looks like the printer is definitely capable. So for the next part, we need to figure out how to use the software that's included in the USB thumb drive so we can slice our own models, and I'm definitely excited to see how those will turn out, especially a benchy. And we might try to print some kind of figurine that's very detailed to see what this printer can really do. Alright guys, so we are at the computer now, and you can see here I have opened the file which was in the thumb drive here, and we do have, looks like, different softwares available, slicing software, or we're using Mac OS. They got Windows, Linux, so pretty cool. They got a bunch of stuff, so this is what we're using. Alright, so we need to add this to our applications, and that's it. And we have the ChiTu Box software ready to go. Well, that was pretty simple. Let's go ahead and open this guy up. Alright, there it goes. So look at that. Alright, so this is, I guess, all the updates that have been done recently. We can fit it here in our recording window. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is go to Thingiverse and find something that we want to print. So obviously I'm going to start with a benchy. This is our good old original benchy. So Thingiverse is where you're going to find a lot of files to print. So we're just going to download the benchy. If you don't want to download everything they have, you just go down here and click on Thing Files, and then you can choose, you know, all the files that are available. So we just want the regular benchy. I think this is it, and we're gonna save it. And so now our benchy is saved to our computer. So I'm gonna drag the STL file, the benchy STL file, right in here, and there we go. So we are working here in ChiTu Box slicing software. Let's see. So zooming in and out, moving around. Let's see how to twist this thing. Okay, there we go. Pretty cool. So it looks like we need to move our boat the other way around because it's kind of sitting the wrong way. So let's click this little box here. So this looks like the rotating. So we'll rotate it, I guess, 90 degrees. That looks pretty close, good enough. So this is our resizing tool. We can, you know, resize it. And then here we can mirror it, whatnot else. And this is the moving. We can move it around. So, but if you click on the benchy, you can obviously move it with your, you know, cursor. So like right now, it's a little bit off. So I'm going to move it right there. Anyways, looks like we have some settings here. Files, save files, redo, undo, clone current model. So I guess you could make another one. Out to layout and hollow. Okay, so you can make the model hollow. I don't know. Well, maybe we should do that to save. Let's go ahead and try that. It's going to make it hollow. Okay, so it's playing a preview also right now of the hollowness. Okay, so that's going to save us a lot of resin actually, guys. I'm not sure though if it's hollow, if it's going to be printing correctly. So over here to the right, we have a couple settings. Okay, these are support settings. Top, middle, bottom, raft, medium, heavy, light. Okay, so that's the size of the support. All right. Okay, there we go. I just added the supports when I clicked add all, whatever. It doesn't need supports though. Why would it need supports? Benchy never needs a support. Hey, look at that. It's even making supports inside. Very interesting. I'm just gonna print this thing without the supports and see what happens. So let's go back. So I guess this is the support section. This is the file here section, and then we have settings here. Okay, so this is where we can set up everything about the printer here. It looks like it's already made for this printer, the Mars printer, so it looks pretty intuitive and pretty easy to use. So I definitely like the layout and how everything is set up here. Very simple to navigate. But in any case, this looks really good. Let's go ahead and slice this thing. So we got this huge button over here that says slice. So we're just gonna push that, see what happens. So it seems to be slicing quite quick. Alright, so it looks like we have some kind of preview here. Machine default, normal, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so let's see if we can skim this thing maybe. Okay, yes we can. Alright, so this is what the printer is actually going to do. Okay, and it kind of shows you the preview on both ends here. So let's go ahead and save it. And I guess you can send it over to network, but we'll just go ahead and save it. And there's our file code right there, guys. So it's making the file. This is the thumb drive. So all we're going to do now is grab the file that it made, which is right here, and we're going to throw it into our thumb drive. And there it goes. So now we have the 3D Benchy in there also. Well, that was pretty easy. So now we can go to our printer and start printing this thing up. All right, guys. So definitely like this ChiTu Box slicer here. Very cool. So I'm probably going to slice a few more other models, and then I'll go print them all out. And then we're going to take a closer look at what we printed. All right, guys, so this is all the models we printed here, and I'm pretty excited to show them to you because we got some pretty awesome results. So we've seen the 2 test prints here that came with the printer, and so the rest I had to slice myself. So some of the prints turned out awesome, and some of them have a few flaws, and that might have something to do with my oversight on the slicer. But in any case, I'm still really new to resin printing, and so I don't really understand all the cure times and layers and whatever else other settings there are. But in any case, so let's go straight to the Benchy first. And one thing to know, guys, is that all these models here I printed in the hollow mode, and I think that had to do something with some of the issues that I've had, maybe, which I will show you here in a second. But this Benchy was printed in hollow, and you guys can see that the quality is obviously there. And if we look at even here on the top, you can see how perfect everything is. But there is a few issues, and that is like with this warping. Because this model is hollow, it kind of warps. So that makes me think that maybe I should put the setting a little bit thicker, and the warping kind of came in later as it dried. So that just tells me that it's probably too thin. And we do have like some kind of funny line going on here, and I think that has to do something with, again, it drying and warping, because there's a thick layer here and a thin layers everywhere else. So it's kind of bulged out, the thin layers, and the thick layers just were more solid. So this is the Benchy. It turned out really well. And not to mention, guys, how light it is. So I do need to probably add more product into this. But I'll tell you what, though, printing all these prints, I've only used up 1/3 of the resin. So I have plenty of resin left over. I can print, another 2 sets of all these. So that's quite a good amount of models you can print when you print hollow. So the next model I printed was this tank, and it turned out phenomenal, guys. This tank just looks amazing. So this is a SV001. I think it's called a slug or something, but the details on this thing is just crazy. I was really shocked at this thing, how every little detail just stands out. So this thing was already pre-made with this support here on the bottom, and that does need to be broken off. So, and as you can see, I just chipped a little corner here. So the stuff it got really hard. Popping it off is not that easy. And that's why I realized that the snippers that they include is actually just for that reason. So big thumbs up that they actually include a tool that's very useful. So I cured this tank outside for about a day in the sun. So it's cured really good. Hard as rock now, so it feels really good. And this thing was also printed in a hollow mode, the same 3mm, and it turned out perfect. So I guess maybe depending on the model, it might need to be a little thicker or a little thinner. So I'm going to try to pop all these supports off here, and they come off actually really easy when you just snip them. So I'm going to snip away here, and we'll see what it looks like underneath here. So the supports popped right off pretty easily. It took less than 5 minutes. Trying to be kind of careful, and you can see there's a little nubs here and there from the connection points, but overall it looks pretty good. Very solid. I think that could probably get cleaned up pretty easily with maybe alcohol or whatever, kind of smooth it out. Models like this and the printers capable of printing this kind of detail makes 3D printing so exciting. All right, so the tank turned out amazing. So the next print I did was definitely a hit and miss. So it is this soldier guy right here. So he has really nice detail on him. I don't know if you guys can notice, but there's definitely an issue in layering in this one. So you can see there's layer lines going down his body, and they're everywhere. And even here on the helmet here, you can see the layer lines. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. It must have been something in the settings that I did. I can't think of why else that would happen. Something I didn't do correctly. And also on the back here, you can see on this backpack, we had a rip, and that was another case of this being too hollow, because this is really light model here. So because of the way this model is laid out, it ended up being even more thinner than than it should have been, because this is feather light. So you can see how big this print is, but it weighs almost nothing. That's how little resin went into this guy. So I think I really need to up the millimeters on the sidewalls to 5mm, because it's on 3mm right now as a default. And then I think the hollow would work out much better. So, and I made supports, but I made them small, and you can see they're really thin. So the reason I made them small is so you can easily just break them off instead of fighting with them. And that looks like what's exactly going to happen, and just pops right off. So I got to be kind of careful with this model because it's quite fragile. But I'm going to go ahead and peel all this stuff off and we can look at him a little better. All right guys, so here he is all cleaned up. You know, I would consider this as kind of like a failed print, but you can still see the details and even the face. I mean, that is great detail, guys. So it looks like I need to play with the settings a little more and get this thing where I need it. So yeah guys, this is the soldier. Alright, and so for the last print, I printed an Eiffel Tower, but this print also had a little bit of issues, and the reason for that was because of the small scale. So, and this thing is still really fresh, so it might be a little wet still here and there. But the reason I was saying is that if you look at the side railing here, it's so tiny, the railing kind of just melted away. You can see on this side, it kind of melted. But other than that, the structure's fine. There is a little bit of white little stuff on it, and I think I overdid it a little bit on the alcohol when cleaning it, and I burned it. I think that's what that is, but it's hard to show you guys on this camera, but you can really see how detailed all those structure points are. And here it gets so thin that it kind of closes up because it's just way too thin. The scale would have, you know, helped of making this thing a lot more nice. But on the top there, you can see how thin. I mean, look at my finger there, and how thin those little support points are for the top part. So resin printers are kicking some butt in the detail. You know, there's nothing that can compare right now for the price point of a resin printer to print with this kind of detail. So what are the final thoughts? The final thoughts is quite simple. If you want something that can print detail, you gotta have a resin printer. And specifically, this ELEGOO Mars is just phenomenal. Like, I have no words but to say this printer is just great. Like, the printer doesn't get laggy or anything weird. And it's so simple, you know, you put the resin in, you push print, and it just makes the print. So it's very simple. And cleaning is not all that bad either. You just clean the plate, quite easy, and then you just rinse out the tub. So not that big of a deal. The only big deal is the smell and, you know, maybe getting some resin on your hands. So make sure you wear your gloves when you are going to be in contact with that. But other than that, you can see, guys, the results speak for themselves, and this printer here has definitely exceeded my expectations. So I would definitely give this thing a huge thumbs up. And if you can get your hands on one of these, they are kind of hard to get at this point. This machine will definitely not disappoint. And not to mention, it comes with great slicing software that's included with the printer and installs really easily. This printer out of the box has been just a breeze. There's no finicking around with anything. It just gets the job done. Alright guys, so if you want to get a printer like this, I'm going to leave some links in the description. So check that out. It's from Amazon. Now they might be out of stock, so keep an eye at it. They will be available. So if you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button. If you want to see more 3D printing videos, I have a lot of 3D printing videos on this channel and a lot more to come. So if you're not subscribed, then hit that subscribe button to see more. And thank you to everyone who watches to the end. I really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.